Oh, I was about to do that.
Oh, I think I have.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of online presenters of Virtual Toastmasters Club. I'm Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. To our guests, a warm welcome. We're thrilled by your interest in joining us today. And if you're interested in joining our club, you should know that you could become a member if you are a current or former active member of Toastmasters International. You've completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches, and if you have relevant experience, you can demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. And all members who get voted on, it has to go through our members first. Now, it's subject to approval by our club members. If you haven't already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Remain. Remember, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we're recording this meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome a real transformer to our virtual stage, our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you to our Sergeant at Arms, Sunny Fridge, for that introduction. Or should I say, call me Optimus Prime? After all, I can transform you. Today, we are in for an exciting meeting. It's always great to have everyone here at Online Presenters. We are a virtual Toastmasters club, and the aim is to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. So let's hope that we transform everyone. It's time for us to do our annual renewal. There are persons who paid for the entire year. So if you can set it and forget it, do you remember that ad? Set it and forget it. If you can set it and forget it, then feel free. If not, remember, it's time for us to make our payment to Toastmasters International for this 6-month period. We also are working on a tipathon. For those of us who do not know what a tipathon is, you'll see the tip of the day. We're going to have an entire meeting dedicated to that. So everybody get your tip ready so that we can present ourselves to those who we invite to the club and give them an excellent education feature and show them the best that Online Presenters has to offer. Don't worry, Annie, I won't ask you to bring out the ventriloquist doll just yet. But I do want a tip about that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we do get one. Now, to transform us or change the course of history, maybe, please help me welcome our Vice President of Public Relations, who is blazing through her paths, even with all that comes along with the public relations role. Let's see where she will take our meeting. And let's wait for the surprise. Wonder what's that's gonna be. Help me welcome Kritika Van Qatar. Did I get it right? If I didn't, you can correct me.
You are wonderful, Yoni. You got it right. It's Kritika Venkataram. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Hello, online presenters. Before starting my speech, I would like to give a note to every online presenters present over here. Please change your background. I have shared the background for today's meeting, and it is not going to be the same what you are wearing because it bears the name Yoni Leila. I request Graham, Andrew, and Alison to change the background which I have shared right now. Thank you for considering it. Okay, as a Toastmaster of the day, it takes immense pleasure for me to introduce today's theme of the meeting. Today is one of an important pivotal day in the moments of history. There were several instances, several important happenings that happened, and one such important happening is the United Nations Declaration of Day Today, 15th September. United Nations General Assembly made 15th September as the Day of International Day of Democracy. International Day of Democracy is a day where the choices, the voice, and the participation of people that build the society where we prosper or we dwell around in a place because of providing democracy around the world and around the society that we live in. Democracy draws the strength from its people. People are not built all alone. They have their own group, they have their own strengths, and this is built upon with a culture that is being promoted through a way of democratic alignment. US hosts today, 15th September 2025, as a day of participation of people who are considered to be marginalized, people who are considered to be left out, to transform their voice into action, making them and giving them the hope for a better future. The theme for this year is transforming voice into action and working for gender equality. Let's go further beyond. United Nations Democracy Fund is playing a critical role in taking up democracy towards or across the world that supports inclusive participation, strengthening the institution that promotes human rights. It has taken multiple projects that has reached marginalized environment, promoting three major actions, which is promoting gender equality, providing or ensuring transparent governance, and the third important thing is giving voice to the marginalized. The first International Day of Democracy was celebrated in 2008. This was declared in November 2007 by United Nations, where 46 nations have celebrated this. This is a day to review the state of democracy around the world. Each year highlights specific theme, and this year, as I mentioned, it's achieving gender equality, action by action. For this, let's reaffirm the message as global citizen, as democracy to be the force for dignity, inclusion, and peace, working together to ensure it is delivered to all. Okay, fellow Toastmasters, I'm happy to welcome you all to today's meeting. And as we have three important or the three essential sections of any Toastmasters meeting, one would be the prepared speech, the second would be the table topics, and the third would be the evaluation section. Before we get into the formal Toastmasters meeting, let's introduce the role takers of today. The role taker for today, or the first role taker, which I wanted to introduce you, would be the grammarian. Grammarian Andrew Byrne, why don't you introduce us the word of the day so that every role taker and every online presenters would use it promptly. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. The word of the day is transformative or transformational, and we encourage everybody to use that word or its derivation in your speaking, in your responses, and I'll keep track of them on a sheet of paper. And when called upon during the evaluation section, I will let you know how you all stacked up. I also be listening for tenses and correct wording, and if there were any phraseology that really struck me in the right place. Back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. The next important role taker is the timer. Timer Alison Blakeman, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. I will be timing each speaker, our educational moment, and evaluations and table topics. And for my timing cues, I will transform my background into these colorful images, along with you are within time. And then at the end of the meeting, when called upon, I will present my timers report to the general evaluator. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alison. And the next important role taker would be our watcher. I am a little bit skeptical who would be the watcher for today. May I know the watcher for today?
It is I.
Thank you, Jim. Over to you.
Madam Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters, as the watcher, I am basically a visual grammarian. I am going to not be listening to what you say, but I am going to be watching what you say. Each one of us has been granted the opportunity to transform a blank canvas like this into a dynamic presentation like this, and how well we are each going to use the visual frame with our lighting, our framing, our use of gestures and so on like that. All of these things come together for a visual experience, and I will report on how everybody did at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jim. We would get distracted when we are speaking. We would not have complete concentration when we interact with each other or when we listen to somebody. And that is why we have somebody called chat monitor to this discussion. Today's chat monitor would be our guest, Kai. Over to you, Toastmaster Kai.
Right, so for chat monitor, I will be monitoring what you're going to put into the chat, and I'm going to call out anything interesting, humorous observations, and whatever strikes me as interesting, I guess. So I'll keep track of what's helpful, what's encouraging as well throughout the meeting, and share it after the session.
Thank you,
Yeah, back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster. The most important aspect of Toastmaster is to become an effective communicator. Usage of words, presentation, the way that we look upon, the way that we carry forward, the way that we use our body language. We had a watcher. Similarly, we have an arm counter who would evaluate something which is an important aspect of every Toastmasters meeting. And for that, we have Toastmaster TTM Yoni Leila, our club president. Over to you, Yoni.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the crutch words, long pauses, the ums, ers, and I will do so in the meeting with a visual cue. After all, we're online. So if there's an if there happens to be some sewing that goes on, hopefully we don't get to the point where there are too many ahs, but at the end, I will give my report and let everyone know who the Wizard of Oz was for our meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Yoni. Today is a day that marks people who protect their head with stylish hat. People around the world dust off the head using an etiquette that dictates their status and style. It might be a woman or men. Nevertheless, today is a day where it is celebrated as the National Felt Hat Day. I also wanted to highlight and pin David in this regard, who is here wearing a hat in today's meeting. Let us all applaud David for giving a great day celebrating the National Felt Hat Day for us, wearing a hat. Thank you, David. It was wonderful to be as a person who also wanted to contribute towards this national celebration. Over to our Toastmasters course of meeting. Today we have a tip of the day, a unique segment where tool, technology, leadership, and business happenings is being shared in our online presentation meeting. And for this, we have DTM Toastmaster Sunny Fridge. Over to you, Sunny Fridge, for presenting the tip of the day.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I apparently didn't get the memo about what the new theme was, but I think our colleague Graham Cairns can set me up. Graham, what is that course of history about? That I'm going to give some tips on how we as Toastmasters can learn some lessons from those tips, from the history.
Okay, so the reason that the theme for today is changing the course of history is this marks the anniversary of the Battle of Britain, which was a turning point in World War II, where Germany, which had up till that point been almost unstoppable, was stopped. It was also the point at which Winston Churchill gave probably the most important speech of his career to that point. And it was literally a speech which changed the course of history. And so that's why the course of history was chosen as today's theme.
Thank you.
We're doing other stuff. You talk about that as a tip. Please feel free.
Okay, well, what I'm doing is I'm following up on that. I loved the first theme as well. And so, as you just said, this is the anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and it gave rise to some of Winston Churchill's most stirring words. So, today I'd like to share 3 of those lines and how they apply to us as communicators and leaders. First, Churchill said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Fellow Toastmasters, going through hell might mean your speech didn't land. It might mean you forgot your lines or your online connection failed at the worst possible time. So the lesson, don't stop in the middle of the struggle. Keep going. Every speech, even the ones that you stumble on, carries you closer to confidence and mastery. Second, he reminded us that success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. For me, that means that my best speech, your best speech, isn't the end of the journey, and your worst speech isn't the end either. What matters is the courage to get up, receive feedback, and try again. Each round of evaluation, each new project is an opportunity to fail forward, learning as you go. And that courage to keep stepping up despite fear is what turns a speaker into a leader. And third, perhaps his most famous line was never, never, never give up. Pretty short speech, but very impactful. So whether your goal is to earn a Pathways level, win a contest, or simply speak without fear, the only way you lose is if you quit. So keep showing up, keep practicing, keep leaning into growth. And every time you take the mic, you're proving yourself to be you're proving to yourself and others that persistence pays off. So I have a call to action for you. take a moment to think about one step you will take this week to keep moving forward, to transform yourself, whether it's volunteering for a role, signing up for your next speech, or mentoring another member. And because growth happens faster when we share it, I wish that a few of you would just type in the chat what your step would be. For instance, I might write, I'll sign up for table topics next week. Or maybe you'll complete your level 2 project. Because Churchill's words aren't just history, they're fuel for our future. So is there anyone who will put something in the chat for me? And I'll just take a quick little look. And I don't see anyone putting something in chat right now, but I'm sure that we'll all take note of that. So just 1 second. General Evaluator Graham Cairns says he'll join the Tipathon in 2 weeks. Great answer. And Kartika, well, I can't find all my other notes. That's just a little long. But like I said, what you want to do is when obstacles come, even if they're technical, keep going. When failure shows up, have the courage to continue. And on your journey to becoming the communicator and leader you're meant to be, never, never, never give up. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sunny Fridge. Today commemorates as the most pivotal day during the Battle of Britain. It's declared as the Battle of Britain Day. It is the 85th anniversary. The grueling months of World War II were between 10th July to 30th October of 1941. The German Luftwaffe attempted the Blitzkrieg invasion, the first battle in history the first battle in history fought solely in the air. The British Royal Air Force and the German Luftwaffe fiercely fought each other, losing 2,500 airstrike squadrons on the German side and at least 1,500 air squadrons on the British Royal Air Force side. The British claimed a decisive decision of taking up the victory, invading the Germans during a massive battle that was fought, and this day has been declared and commemorated as the Battle of Britain Day. To remember the fallen servicemen during this decisive decision and decisive defensive battle, every year in Westminster Abbey, there is a fly past of RAF Spitfire and 1 Hurricane, which is executed every year. And even this year is not foolproof. We just have to witness what the history is going to show us in the future. To mark more upon today, we have a lot of happening where the first theme, the International Day of Democracy, has taken our voice into action. And in the chat, you can see the development that is happening and the strategic partnership between the two nations, mainly UK and Germany, where we speak about the Battle of Britain, which is past, and currently they are moving forward with new partnership after the post-Brexit period. And this paves the importance of our action and in due course, the importance of how we take forward our growth without having a difference or without showing gender parity, without showing a hatred, greed, or dispute in any form. Inclusivity is the only way that we all grow together as a world for a better future and creating leaders to have a safe and secure world altogether. Okay, let's go to the first section of today's meeting. It's going to be a prepared speech section. And for this, we have wonderful speaker, Annie Martin. Annie Martin, I do not have your speech details, but I would like to introduce your speech details and move forward speaking over. For today, over to you, Annie.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. My speech today is called Annie from Adelaide. Now, this is a worldwide club, and some of you are thinking, where on earth is Adelaide? Maybe you're thinking that I'm just about to show you here. There it is at the bottom of Australia, and I wonder whether some of you think that we're really upside down in Australia. I think, unless you've been here, you probably think that's how we get around all the time. Graham and I are here to tell you it's not really like that once you're here. You seem sort of completely the right way up, and that's what it's like. I'm going to tell you what Adelaide is well known for. Two things, wine, and the other thing is it's the city of churches. The two things don't go hand in hand if you were brought up a Methodist, which I was, but there we go. The city of churches and the city of beautiful wines. Pretty hard to beat, in my opinion. I was very fortunate to grow up near the beach. I had a very nice childhood. Nice is such a weak word, but it was nice. And I feel very blessed that I had good parents, good family. As I grew up too, I did something quite unusual. At the age of 3, I was taught how to play chess from my father. So it sort of went in the back of my brain somewhere. And 10 years later, when I was 13, I stumbled across a chess club at my school. And thus began, I guess, 10 years of dormant thinking about chess somehow into something that became quite a passion for me. It took me from Adelaide to Melbourne to many overseas tournaments. Been very, very fortunate growing up in my 20s to have played essentially in many, many countries around the world. Again, I take that back to a really lucky childhood where I was brought up in that environment where that could blossom. It's great now to be a Toastmaster and be in this international scene, but I have been on the physical international scene many times in wonderful opening ceremonies of big chess tournaments and made friends all around the world. It's been a number of decades since I've played competitively. Now I play online anonymously because I keep losing and I'm always quiet. You'll never find me online, even if you look. I'm not telling you my name because my rating for anybody who plays chess is completely plummeting. So that was through my teenage years and my 20s. And then moving into my 30s, I must have been in another one. And I ended up with 3 of them under 2.5. But it was chaotic wonderment and enormous fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I love chaos. Have always enjoyed chaos. And that's what I got. Big time. And then, as if 3 children under 2.5 wasn't enough chaos, what you do is get 2 beagle puppies. And that'll do it for you. If you add them into the mix, you've got it. And I had it and I absolutely loved it. Throughout that time too, my career, most of the time, not all of the time, most of my career has been in special education. So looking after beautiful young children, often who don't have the ability to speak, often who have multiple disabilities. I actually began that work as a volunteer, and I'm a big believer in volunteering, meaning that your feet take you to where you want to be, regardless of money or whether even there is a job. And that's how I began in special ed. I went from being a volunteer to being an assistant to the teachers, to being a teacher, from being a teacher to being an assistant to the principal, from being an assistant to the principal to being a principal. Talk about chaos and talk about the strategy of playing chess. The two of them collided there big time and in a wonderful way that potentially is the most intellectually satisfying career I have had. Trying to move people around So they're on a chessboard strategically, but they're people with the emotions. And of course, in special ed with these beautiful students and their parents and their grandparents and the disability sector, emotions are very high and the stakes are very high. But I enjoyed that role absolutely enormously. About 7 years ago, I had finished my first 5-year contract of being a principal and was offered my second 5-year contract of being a principal. By that time, my marriage had ended and I had met a man from Melbourne. Here is Melbourne. A little bit different to Adelaide, big city. Woohoo! I decided to not take up my second contract and move to Melbourne to be with him. Since moving to Melbourne, since my retirement, I have actually not stepped back inside a school. I have done so many other things. I've gone from 1 Toastmasters club to now 4 Toastmasters club. I have begun to write palliative biographies. So for people in the final stages of their life, I'm helping them write their life stories. I love this work, and I'm also an ambassador for the program that does it in Melbourne. I've also become a wedding celebrant and a funeral celebrant. A couple of weeks ago, I couldn't attend because I was at a funeral. For me, possible use we can, and coupled with emotional appropriate responses, wonderful work. And the final thing that I've just begun doing a month ago, which I'm super excited about, is doing some presenting on a community radio station, and I'm interviewing musicians and absolutely loving it. It's opened up a new world. The final thing that I am doing is looking after my adorable 96-year-old dad. So he lives in Adelaide. And so I find myself on our local airline called Qantas, back and forth and back and forth from Adelaide to Melbourne. And indeed, many of the meetings that I have attended on online presenters have been from Adelaide. But today it's Melbourne. Next week it will be Adelaide. So my speech began with that I was Annie from Adelaide. Now I do believe that I'm Annie to and fro from Adelaide. Thank you very much for listening to my icebreaker speech. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Andy Martin. It was wonderful to hear from you. Our next speaker would be Andres Malingo. I do not have your speech details. Also, Andre, why don't you introduce yourself and introduce your speech content? Over to you, Andre.
Being an effective leader, it means you got to have an effective team. Leader means team. As simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Toastmasters guests. Last year, Toastmaster year, I was the vice president of membership at Online Presenters Club. Yes, our club. And have a guess, one of the first things that I did, you probably wouldn't guess it, but I put my title on my email signature, on my Facebook profile, on my LinkedIn, and a few other things. I have a feeling that maybe a few of you have committed the same sins. But I really like that post. That's true. At the same time, together with a bit of love, a bit of glory, came other things. There came responsibilities. My role as the vice president of membership was simple in a way. I had to take care of newcomers. I had to take care of all those people who wanted to join, all our guests, and try to increase the membership to the level I could. And during the year, I've succeeded a bit to the club. But the thing is, it was not about me. I did not, as I said in that quote, that president, I learned a lot from that lady, especially her communication skills. Johnny Rennie Laidlaw, Vice President of Education last year, her spark, her inspiration, and her dedication to her work was really inspiring to me. Kritika Devik and Kataran, Vice Presidents of Public Relations last year and this year as well. And her dedication, creativity, and her desire to help our club to succeed was really, truly inspiring to me. Andrew Byrne, UTM, really on the spot. His advice, suggestions, and creating more questions sometimes than answers were challenging, but really appropriate. Sunny Fridge, our surgeon at arms, her smile, her sparkle, her energy was always something that I really looked forward to. And Sarah Idahan, treasurer, the team, that lady holds the money of our club, and she's amazing. Those brilliant people for about a year, to be precise, a year exactly. What did I learn? And what lessons that I could share with you, my fellow online presenters? Lesson number 1, regular meeting. Team regular meeting. Without those meetings of all those people on a regular basis, once a month actually, I don't think our club would function that effectively. We share stories, we had a good laugh, we learn about each other more, and then we move club to the next level. Lesson number 2, club succession plan. Crucial for any club or organization success. Succession club is how you gauge or how you measure what you do, how successful what you do comparing to other Toastmasters club or your organizational goals. Really important to my mind. And of course, personal touch with members and guests is something that still works in our digital age. A guest saying, hi, how are you doing? You know, what you've been up to? Just spend that time of your busy schedule doing that. Or writing an email to the member who did not attend for a while, showing that you really, really care. Showing you care, showing you want them in a club really works. Of course, there were a few challenges as well. Challenge number 1. It's time difference. As we know, our club is spun through all around the globe. Australia, India, UK, Jamaica, United States. I personally tried to invite a few people from the UK, come over to our meeting, but for them, meeting starts, just take a pause. The meeting starts about 1:45 on Tuesday morning. Who would want to do it? Very dedicated people that unfortunately I couldn't find many. The challenge number 2, you got to be there. If you are a leader in the team, attend. And challenge number 3, to make time. We're all busy people, we have our priorities, but when you choose a role, especially in volunteering organization, you need to understand that you dedicate your time, you dedicate your energy, perhaps even take time away from people you love, your family, and give it to people you choose to. Remember, we're choosing to do it. And of course, the important thing of all of that, as soon as you start, is my biggest lesson. As soon as you start your new role, choose yourself a successor. And one of the first members that I had privilege inducting into our club was Alison Blakeman, our current Vice President of Membership. So when you think that you can lead an organization, please remember just one thing to start with. You cannot do it alone. You need.
Madam Toastmaster, both speakers were within time this evening.
Thank you, Tamaralis. Your speech reminds me of certain things which I wanted to share, though it is not part of today's theme. Kindness cannot be taught, but leadership could be taught. Center for Creative Leadership says self-awareness, empathy, result focus, ethics to be followed makes a better and great leader. Thank you for your speech, Andres Mellon. Today is a day of double cheeseburger day. A double cheeseburger is more than a seasoned ground beef, sprinkled with saute and sprinkled onion with cheese, onion, pepper on top of it, adding condiments of various flavors like mayo, ketchup will bring in flavor to our cheeseburger. And today is one of such day where Americans' version of hamburger is being celebrated all through the nation as a double cheeseburger day. We will move forward to the next section of today's meeting, and today's next section would be the table topic section. For this, we have our amazing Toastmaster, our amazing leader, and a wonderful presenter, Jim Barber, who is going to be our Toastmaster of the day. Over to you, Jim Barber.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters. Let's get started into historical table topics. Got a few questions dealing in one way or another with the general theme of history and historical changes. Let's start. Before I ask the first question, though, I'm going to ask a question. One of the most incredible dates in history was September. Why that date is important. Anybody? Nobody. You know why it's important? Because it didn't exist. September the 2nd existed in 1752, and they updated the calendar at that point, and the next date after September the 2nd was September the 14th of 1752. September the 3rd did not exist. Now, people rioted over that. They wanted their 11 days back. They felt that they had been robbed. And so they actually had riots. This leads to the question of, in our modern day time, we don't eliminate days, but we do eliminate hours. We have daylight savings time that is either endured or celebrated around the world in many countries, in many places. So what is your take on daylight savings time? And I think I really have to ask our general evaluator, Graham Carnes.
Toastmasters friends. Funny you should mention, by the way, the riots of the when we changed from the Gregorian to the Julian to Gregorian calendars. I'm not going to talk about that on a cruise ship because I have to talk about how we get an extra day on a cruise ship because we're crossing the international date line. If you think you get confused with daylight saving and 1 hour disappearing and then reappearing, you should try sailing across the Pacific, or the Atlantic for that matter, and crossing the international date line, because you have hours that simply disappear on the way and then reappear on the way back. When I fly, for example, from Australia to the United States, when I leave my home city of Brisbane and fly into Los Angeles, I can land in LA before I take off from Brisbane, which is really confusing. But what's worse is on the way back, I can take off in LA, and instead of getting back to Brisbane 14 hours later, I get back 1 day and 14 hours later because we're crossing the other way. I get confused with daylight. When is fall? When is spring? And is it your spring or my spring? We have to change the times for this club meeting in just, I don't know, a month or whatever it is. I can't work it out yet. I have a Google Calendar that sorts this sort of stuff out for me. Without it, I don't know whether I'm coming or going, awake or asleep, what I'm doing. I don't care. But then again, I'm retired, so time really doesn't matter all that much anymore, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Graham. All right, let's see. Today is, for some of us, September 15th. Others of us, no, that was yesterday. But regardless, whether it's today or yesterday, September the 15th is the birth date of Agatha Christie, the author. Agatha Christie, you're probably, whether you've read any of her works, you're probably aware of who she is. She wrote over 100 various, most of them murder mysteries. My mother adored Agatha Christie murder mysteries, and I grew up on reading those as well. So my question is, if you were to produce some or something like that, if you were to do, and you were going to do dozens of them so that you would be well known for it, what artistic medium would you use and what would you be known for? And Kai, you're a guest, but are you willing to take a stab at that?
Yes.
All right, go for it then.
Oh, I actually like Agatha Christine books as well. I used to read it when I was much younger, but over time, I guess I have stopped reading fiction books that regularly. It has the more practical side of me has actually moved towards reading non-fiction books. But I still try to read one a year. But yeah, in relation to the question, well, I think writing is definitely one medium because I actually journal quite regularly, and actually I got inspired to journal and to write because of this book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Me to express myself in a lot of ways. Well, I know that with ChatGPT and all that, it can help to generate content, but I find that still using the brick and mortar way or the long form way of writing actually allows me to bring my ideas to the paper or on the paper, and I think that really allows me to create and share my ideas. So yeah, so definitely writing is actually still my preferred way, and I guess some of my friends actually laugh at me because they say, oh, you're not very tech savvy, and you need to be a little bit more tech savvy and all that. But I guess still I cherish this ability to read physical copies of books. I enjoy paper, pen, yeah, and I think that is still a medium that I would want to continue for years to come. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Appreciate that. All right, moving forward. Suppose this was a Toastmasters meeting 100 years from now, and the table topics master asks about somebody's birthday, describes somebody's birthday 100 years earlier, in other words, today. Somebody's birthday in the present time, and they're famous for something. This is a little convoluted, but we'll straighten it out. I'm going to direct this to our grammarian, Dr. Andy Byrne. Andy, 100 years from now, what would you like your birthday to be celebrated as for what you are famous for? Andy?
Funny you should ask that question, because today is September 15th. And 37 years ago, I began a passionate dream at my profession to emergency medicine to create a subspecialty certification in disaster medicine. I began that quest 37 years ago. And when I just came back from Salt Lake City at our annual meeting, I was pleased to know that they had already opened up a comment period that they prepared and are getting ready to submit today their recommendation for a subspecialty in disaster medicine. So persistence gets you from there to here. Persistence got us from not having a subspecialty possibility to having the board umbrella, the American Board of Emergency Medicine, submit an application to the American Board of Medical Specialties for a subspecialty in disaster medicine. And I sent in my letter of support yesterday. It's amazing what can happen over time as long as you keep something. If you look at Toastmasters, the number of people that have entered at a very young age and are in leadership in their early 30s and 40s is amazing. I did not have the time or energy when I was doing medicine to even consider Toastmasters because it does take a big commitment. But I'm amazed at the number of people, young people, that are involved in that. If you look at the people involved in the World Championship and look at them, young people involved, I encourage you all to stay with it. You don't know where you're going to wind up as long as you keep it on target. Back to you.
Thank you, Andy. All right. I think we have time for one more. So we're going to ask, let's see, the fire, the wheel, electricity. These are all things that transformed the world. Today we have AI. So the question is AI transformative or is it a passing fad? Will it be remembered 500 years from now? And let's ask our timer, Allison.
Or something that will change the future. In my industry, my day job, things that I see, AI is revolutionary, that it is changing the environment in the workplace. I see software developers, coders using AI to help code software. They use it to help find a bug in the software. There could be thousands of lines of code. You introduce it into AI and ask to look for the errors. It will find errors, double colons, double bangers, what have you. It is really transformation. It's scary though, Mr. Table Topics Master, because like Kai said, that he is a writer, so am I. AI really needs, in my opinion, to be policed because someone could easily sit down and ask ChatGPT to write a book. What used to be like Dr. Andrews' profession and his 37 years of experience, that now someone could sit down with AI and just ask it to write a book and read these lectures, and then boom, someone publishes a book can be good, and it can also be used for evil and wrong because you can look up. People ask AI. Had an interesting encounter with it the other day. I asked it to create an image for me and it would not. Said it violates copyright laws. And also ChatGPT had a little memo that said it felt it was unethical. And I was like, well, that's weird, because what I was asking it to create was just combining two images together that were G-rated to create something else for me as an idea that I had. And it told me it was unethical to do that. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting. So it is a double-edged sword, and it depends on who you ask, but we need to be very cautious with AI and how we interact with it, the information that we share, and what it's used for. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Allie, and nicely timed. All right, and when Allie gets a chance, she'll post the times in the chat. I will ask you when the opportunity shows up to please vote for your favorite table topics response. But so that we can end the meeting on time, I will now return control to our Toastmaster of the day. Take it.
Thank you, Table Topics Master Jim Barber. It was wonderful, and I especially loved your last question about AI. Today, 15 September 1961, is the birthday of Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. He is a pivotal person who has contributed in civil engineering, in modernizing engineering, and also to have a specialized way in construction, contributing towards elevating the quality of life of people. He has used advanced technology, and he has also used creativity, vision, and purpose to drive and fuel that has built many modern construction and many modern cities, especially Bangalore. Being from a civil engineer family, my father being a civil engineer and my grandfather who has served under British, who has also played a major role in constructing companies, organizations, big mills, as well as dams in my native place. I take the privilege of introducing today Ash as the National Engineers Day. This is also celebrated in India, Sri Lanka, and Tanzania. Let's also elevate creativity, vision, and purpose using our logical reasoning that drives our future. The next part of our today's meeting would be evaluation section. We start with our general evaluator, who would introduce the several other role takers and give us a report of today's meeting. Today's general evaluator is Graham Combs, DTM Graham Combs. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kritika. Thank you for your role, and I'll give some comments on yours a little later. We are running a bit behind time, so let's get straight to the evaluations. Our first evaluation tonight is going to come from David Carr. David evaluating the icebreaker from Annie Martin. David, 'tis yours.
Great. Well, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Annie, and sometimes it's a little bit better motivated than others. You get a standing ovation no matter how you did, just because you finished your speech. But with this speech, I would be giving an enthusiastic standing ovation. Among the things that are impressive is you're coming to this club where we try and teach and share techniques for doing online presentations, taking advantage of the medium rather than letting it get in our way. And sometimes people will do fancy things with their screens or with their virtual backgrounds or their screen sharing that can actually be distracting. But what you used was so natural and so in tune with the speech, bringing us into your hometown, the transition to the picture of the wine, which you left up for a while, but it was still, it was a fun background. It was a good, vivid background, but you used it so much in tune with your storytelling, particularly at the end. I really loved the flickering back and forth between Adelaide and Melbourne. A wonderful way of showing that back and forth pattern of your life. Also, in terms of speech structure, when you're trying to tell the story of your life, you know, our life is not necessarily organized into neat little chapters, but you use some good organizing techniques to tie everything together, including that concept of the callback at the end, where you go from, I went from being Annie from Adelaide to being Annie to, from, back, forth, all around the clock. And so you really brought us into this. It was very engaging. I'm supposed to come up with some suggestions for improvement. And I'm really pretty stuck. I mean, I guess in terms of technical, I did note that at some point where you turn the world upside down as your background, which was a clever idea, for some reason there was more flickering of the background, and I wondered why it happened at that particular moment. I don't know if you could figure out what technical reason there was for it, but apparently you're aware of it because you were able to reproduce it on the spot. So who knows? Who knows? I'm actually not using a virtual background today because Jim and I were actually at a National Speakers Association meeting over the weekend where the presenter said, if you don't get that virtual background really good, it can kind of detract from things. And so because I haven't taken the time to set up my green screen and I don't have the but you use those techniques for very well, especially for your first time and even for the most experienced speakers of this club. You're right on that level. So welcome.
That'll be me. Thanks, Jim. Thanks very much for that observation. Now, our second evaluator tonight, and this is Joni. Hello, Joni. Can you please provide your evaluation of Andre's leading in a volunteer organization presentation?
Andrew, it's never easy to lead in a volunteer organization. It transforms your view of people from, you know what, people are difficult to, oh, people are difficult. So overall, I really could empathize with where you were coming from as it related to your speech. You had great pace and tone. I liked your delivery in how you brought across your message. I liked your use of wording on the side because sometimes it does help. There are some of us who are visual learners to have those little points, but you didn't go overboard. There wasn't too many words. They were short. They were easily digestible. And most importantly, they highlighted the point that you were trying to make. And everybody knows I absolutely love me some Prezi, so I love seeing it in action. What would I suggest that you could do to make this speech better? Well, reframe. I could see your hands, but they were being blocked. So basically, this is what was happening. Now, you, like me, have very flappy hands and they're very engaging, and your hands talk all by themselves. Now, I could tell when you wanted us to know or you were doing a pointed gesture because then you moved your hands up here and you made the point with your hands up here. But most of the time, the hands were here and they kept moving. And I assumed that they could keep moving or you weren't paying attention to it because you think that it was hidden, but this is what we were spending most of the time seeing. And I got distracted because I too have happy hands that really flapped. So I spent most of my time looking at your hands, trying to decipher if they were going, yay, or oh, this is difficult, as opposed to it enhancing your speech. It actually distracted because I spent most of my time trying to decipher what the gestures were down here. So I would suggest do more pointed gestures and bring them up here. It will reduce the flapping. Believe me, I've been there. I have tried. But overall, I really did enjoy your speech. It does take I loved how you brought people out, and it's a good thing my hair is already big because then you wouldn't see how big my head ended up swelling when you gave such wonderful remarks. Overall, great presentation. Think about the reframing because you have a little bit above the top, and give your hands something to do so that they don't flap as much. Back to you, our general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Joni, for that evaluation. I was watching the lights and I'm pretty sure you made it within time as well, which means that you can be voted on as best evaluator. We also have a vote for best table topics and a vote for best speaker. All three are on the same link, which is currently in your chat. So please go and vote. Time now for us to look at some of the other ancillary roles which we had here tonight and find out how we did with those. We've got the timers report. They've been coming up in the chat. Thank you very much for that, Madam Timekeeper. It's been a terrific job that you've done. I've been able to keep an eye on those. Moving on from the timer, let's move to the grammarian. And who was our grammarian for tonight? It'll say on here, Andrew Byrne. Andrew, how did we go with our grammar and with our use of the word of the day?
The word of the day was used quite often, including myself, you, Kithika, and Allison amongst those that had used it more frequently. Everyone had correct tenses, and there were many useful phrases that were memorable. So all in all, a great job. Back to you.
Thank you, Andy, for that. Now, moving on to our watcher. Jim, any observations you should like to make as our watcher tonight?
Very quickly, everybody, of course, did the professional job visually that I've come to expect from this club. Your lighting, your framing, everything worked. I want to make special mention. It's already been done, but I want to repeat David's comments about Annie's presentation, her use of the background, especially dynamically, changing the location of where she was by changing the background was marvelously done. I loved that. And while I'm at it, also kudos to our second presenter, Andre. He was recognizing the officers from last year, but he didn't just recognize them by name, but he put a picture of the officers up. A simple thing to do, but very important to do because it enabled us to easily determine who he was talking about. Nicely, nicely done. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Now, we had a stand-in chat monitor for this meeting, a guest who volunteered. Kai, did you notice anything we need to take note of in the chat tonight?
No, I just wanted to say that there's really a transformative energy of positivity. A lot of positive comments in the chat. Please keep that going. Annie, for example, said to Dr. Sani, Fritsch, what a rousing, inspiring tip. And of course, the never give up. And of course, Dr. Sani actually gave a comment like, Andre, great inspiration, teamwork makes the dream work, so and so forth. There are many examples. So I think that is very good. And that actually makes the chat active. And I think everyone gets positive encouragement. So that's one thing I wanted to call out.
Terrific. Thank you, Kai, and thank you for stepping up to do that role tonight. I'm not a fan of the R counter. Well, no, I'm a fan of the R counter. I'm just not a fan of the role of R counter. But I am a fan of Joni Laidlaw, and she was our R counter tonight. So, Joni, how did we do?
Thank you, Graham. Actually, today it looks like everybody wanted to give the account a work because we had some pauses with Kritika and Sunny doing some pauses during their presentation. But the crutch word used most today was actually and. Sunny had some and, so did Kritika. David also did and there was a stiff competition for the Wizard of Oz. Now, David had some repeat words and some so's. But I can tell you that our Wizard of Oz for today is actually Kai. Kai actually is our Wizard of Oz because he did run the entire gauntlet of the crutch words, but don't worry, Kai. I know it's because practice makes perfect, and with time, you will get rid of them, or you'll be like David and accept them and make them a part of your charm and personality back.
Thank you, Joni, for that. Now, very brief look at the meeting. I want to say the Toastmaster tonight was friendly and professional. I really enjoyed the observations and things which Kritika was making, but I would say that we need to be careful when we are Toastmaster that we don't overdo it. The introductions and segues are supposed to be just links. If they become too much a part of the meeting, if nothing else, they take up a lot of time. For example, we were 10 minutes behind when we got to the first speaker tonight because we had a fairly extensive introduction. So just be aware of those sorts of things if you are in the role of Toastmaster. But as I say, I really enjoyed them, and I thought that the amount of work that Kritika had done was fairly obvious. The tip of the day from Sunny I thought was excellent. The preparation showed in this one, and I know that Sunny was working to make sure that this worked, and I think that did really well. Jim's topics were well picked. I would say, and again, this relates back to the comments I was making about Toastmaster. If the questions are too long, then they take too much time. We had really only time for 3 topics tonight. We squeezed in 4, but we really only had time for 3 because Jim had spent as much time as another topic just introducing the questions. But the responses from those topics I thought were really good. There are various ways you can respond to a table topic. You've got prep, which is point, reason, example, point again. Or there's past, present, future. Or there is simply to ignore what you're saying. And all 3 of those were used tonight. I just ignored what was being said. We had Kai use the past, present, future. And we had a good example of point, reason, explanation, point from Dr. Andy Byrne. So well done on all of those. One observation that I did see from the table topics, and I've just got to say this, I had to love Kai's description when he was trying to think of the term of longhand writing, describing it as brick and mortar writing. I thought, yep, I love that. So that's my general evaluation for the meeting. I do now have to announce the results of the contests, the best speaker, best evaluator, and best table topic. I'm hitting the vote counter ballot button here, and it tells me the voting results are the best speaker in a tie, Annie Martin and Andrei Smolenko. Yay, well done, both of you. The best evaluator goes to Joni Renee Laidlaw. And the best table topic, Andrew Byrne. Well done, all 3, or in fact, all 4 of you. That concludes my general comments and to get us out of here. So, Joni Laidlaw, Madam President.
Thank you for that, Graham. Everyone, I do believe we had an excellent meeting, but the best way to find that out is from our guest and Kai. Kai, do I call you a guest now? You've been to Online Presenters a few times, and this is the time that you get to pick back on me for picking on you for being the Wizard of Oz, or accept your crown. How did you find our meeting today?
No, it's great. That's why I always wanted to come back, and I'm actually in the process of working with Alison to schedule for prospective members speech, so in the coming weeks. So yeah, I and that shows how much I really enjoy joining the club, and how much I enjoy the sessions.
Excellent, and we look forward to having you and hearing your speech as soon as you're ready to present. Mitesh is also here. Mitesh, how did you enjoy our meeting today?
It was a different meeting according to me, but it was good. There have been interesting meetings in the past, more interesting meetings. So I did not find anything in particular which really interests me today, but yes, it was a good meeting. Thank you. Over to you.
Well, hopefully if we keep dropping in, we'll find things that we're interested in, and that's the fun of we meet every single Monday. So you know what? Just like preparing dinner, sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not, but guess what? Either way, you'll always leave with something nourishing to get by on, whether or not it's your cup of tea or, in Annie's case, glass of wine. See what I did there? So let me now adjourn our meeting and tell everyone thank you for being here and taking a role at Online Presenters. And I look forward to everybody watching this on the recording. Come to the meeting, sign up for a role. We need to have you here.
Before we close this meeting, let me take the pleasure of introducing one more important day that marks today. It's Online Learning Day. As virtual presenters and as virtual online presenters, we need to embark this day in a multicultural environment where synergized effort gives us, as Toastmasters over here. Established in 2016, this is recognized as an online community, online learning community, an officiality. And this ends as a better speaker, as a better version of ourselves, and as a better communicator, as you have displayed, Yoni. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. This is a club where you can advance your online presentation skills. Thank you for being tonight, everybody, and over to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you, Kritika, again. No, call this meeting adjourned.
All right.
But now that we have adjourned, we are going to go over to Graham to ask him to get everybody here to sign up and for me to ask Andre. This is the last speech, right? You've completed this path, haven't you? This was the last speech that you had to do on this path to complete your level 5, yes?
I think so. I need to check it out. I might have one more about effective leadership skills or something, but I'm close, definitely close.
Excellent.
Oh, it wasn't a question. I'm just saying it's the last one. You'll see.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll take it. Thank you, Johnny.
Well done, well done. And I had to, and I should have printed the certificate out, but I didn't. I have a certificate to present to our president for completing, which path was it you completed, Johnny?
Presentation mastery.
Well done, well done, well done, you. Yeah, congratulations, Johnny. I should have printed the certificate out so that it was ready to be presented. I know we talked about doing that, but I forgot. Sorry.
It's fine because Asil also did it. So for the next meeting, when she's here, you can present to both of us.
Excellent, excellent. Now, for next meeting, I don't at this stage have a Toastmaster or a General Evaluator. Anybody want to throw their hand up for either of those?
I can be General Evaluator, Graham.
Okay, Andre GE. And
I'm not sure I'll be able to attend next week, so I'm not going to volunteer for anything right now.
Right.
Jim, I will be a speaker.
Yeah, I got you down for that. So Jim as TM. Okay, we have the ancillary roles still to be filled, but I'm just looking at the agenda here, and we have the theme is diaries and journals, because next week is Dear Diary Day. Although, as Jim pointed out in a speech, I have no idea who creates these days. They just sort of say, "Oh, we reckon it should be," and so it is. But based on that,
companies.
Diaries and journals is the theme for Dear Diary Day, and the word of the day will be reflections. We now have as Toastmaster Jim and as General Evaluator Andre. We don't have a tip of the day at this stage, but the following week we do have 5 or 6 of them, so that's probably fine. Speakers, Kritika, Carrie, and Joni Renee. Evaluator, we have Sunny down as one evaluator. We could use 2 others. So if you feel like evaluating, please go in and add your name to the agenda. We all know how to do that. Day for you. So a couple of days, then I'll start allocating people into these roles. No, seriously though, please drop in and do so. Great. And then don't forget, in 2 weeks we have a tipathon, and I'd really like to see 6, 7, 8 tip of the days of between 3 and 5 minutes. So this is your opportunity. One of the things I would say, by the way, is if you're going to be preparing a tip of the day, think what project might this fit. For example, Sunny's tip of the day today could just quite easily have fit into, and I think I did in fact mention it to you, Sunny. I thought that might have fit the persuasive speaking project out of Presentation Mastery. I'm not sure whether you've done that out of that. There used to be a project, Inspire Your Audience, which is not quite the same thing. I'm not sure whether the inspiration comes up in every path. But anyway, think about what project your tip could fit and make it fit that. We can give you the evaluations for those. We can help you achieve your presentation mastery or effective coaching or whatever path you're doing. We can help you achieve your goals. Just think about what your tip of the day could fit, and then we'll work it out. If necessary, we'll retrofit it, but no.
All right.
There,
Can I
end of
just
thought.
mention to Annie quickly, something that I noted and didn't work into my evaluation was the effective use of body language, even within this little frame. I particularly loved in the back of my head. I don't remember exactly where that fit in, but very effective use of really compact but meaningful hand gestures.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Listen, can I say to both Annie and Andre, the speeches today I thought were excellent. I thought that, Annie's, that was a really good example of an icebreaker. Icebreakers, as you know, are all too often, I was born at a very young age and I was born in a hospital so I could be near my mother. And, yeah, but what you did was fabulous. I thought that was really well. And Andre, that was a really good example of how to talk about leading in a voluntary organization and how you have to, if you're going to be a leader, you have to have the team that's working with you. So well done, both of you. I thought the table topics were well chosen, Jim. Questions were a bit long, as I mentioned, but that's all right. I've been known to do that myself. I thought they were really well chosen. And Kritika, I know I said that I thought that some of the stuff went a bit long, and that's the problem is because we have only a very short meeting. But I really have to praise you for the amount of effort. Well done.
I do have a question
Thank
about
you.
that. I have a question about that, Karthika. I did not see that you changed the theme. Because it sounds like you changed the theme.
No, I did not change the theme. It is the same.
Like
it's changing.
It confused me.
The theme stayed the same, but the strap line, the second line got changed. Originally, I had put in the bit about Winston Churchill. Kritika took it so that it could be expanded to a wider frame than I had chosen. So the theme remained
changing the course of history.
Yeah. Oh, okay. For some reason, when you had Battle of whatever it was, it confused me because I was trying to match it. So I got confused when she went into all these other courses of history. So it was just a little confusing for me, but I worked with it because I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Okay, thanks.
The issue happens because the VP Ed is the one who chooses the theme for the meetings, and the Toastmaster then makes that work for them. So in the clubs where the Toastmaster would set the theme, then you wouldn't have that.
That's true. They have the leeway. Okay. And other thing, I tried to sign up for tip of the day in 2 weeks for the tipathon. When I click, I can't make myself
I must admit, I haven't looked yet. I will go and take a look at that right about.
Okay. Thanks.
Next meeting is September 29. Joni said that she had changed it so that there were a whole lot of, there's tip of the day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7. So you can't sign yourself up for, you should be able to. Let me sign myself up for one. I will sign myself up to be tip of the day number 4. Take roll. Yep, I'm in there.
Okay, I'll try to go back. And one more thing, Karthika, can you remind me of what our mission is so I could put it in for next week? It was what's on screen and another line. Okay, you're on mute.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, definitely. I will send you over email, and I will also give you the tagline. Definitely. As to reaffirm, I just wanted to confirm that the meeting is officially adjourned, and I'll stop the recording.
Oh, it was official.